What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. Hope we're all doing well. Let's check on the MLB standings. We got about another week of the season. Then the playoffs start. October 3rd is when the playoffs begin. I think it might be a week from tomorrow. So we'll start with the divisional standings in the American League East. Baltimore leads Tampa by 2.5 games right now. Baltimore has, trying to do the math in my head, which I'm very bad at. I think like 6 games left. I think the Rays might have like 5 left. I'm very bad at math. I think that's what it is. Both teams have already clinched the playoffs. Whoever wins the division will have home field advantage throughout the entire American League postseason. And whoever does not win the division will be the first wild card in the American League. American League Central, the Minnesota Twins locked up that division. They're at 83 and 73 right now, so there's a good chance they will not win 90 games, but they are already clinched the division. American League West, which are already tied. Texas, though, has gotten high and looks like they're going to probably take it. They're 2.5 games clear of Houston. Seattle has fallen 4 back. Texas has won 6 in a row. Kansas City recently got swept by Kansas City, and Seattle is they're losing to 4 straight. National League East, Braves already locked up that division. They are the first team to 100 wins this year. Milwaukee has already clinched the playoffs. They're 6 games clear of the Reds, so they should be clinching that division any day now. Reds are 8.5 back. The Cubs are 6 back. And Dodgers, of course, locked up in the National League West already. Going to the wild card standings. Like I said, Baltimore and Tampa. That's who it comes down to for the number 1 seed. Whoever wins that division. The second wild card is the Toronto Blue Jays. The last team in right now is Houston, who's a 1.5 games behind Toronto, and the Seattle Mariners are a 1.5 games out of the playoffs right now. So that's what the wild card picture is for the American League. Heading over to the National League, Atlanta right now, I think is like 3.5 games clear of the Dodgers for home field advantage throughout the entire playoffs. They are 3 games clear of the Orioles for home field advantage. Yeah, they're 3.5 or 4 games, maybe 4.5 games clear of the Dodgers for home field advantage throughout the National League, and they're 3 games clear of Baltimore for home field advantage throughout the entire playoffs. The Philadelphia Phillies are the first wild card in the National League right now, and then Arizona and the Cubs are tied right now for the last 2 spots. They're both 5 games behind the Phillies for the first spot. They are both 82 and 74. They are tied for the last 2 spots. Miami is a game out. The Cincinnati Reds are 2.5 games out. San Francisco Giants are 4.5 out, and the Padres 5.5 out. They've made a late break. They've had a very disappointing year. Spent all that money that star-studded them, and they've not had a good year. Still 3 games under 500. But the Padres 77 and 80. They've gotten hot, but they lost last night to San Francisco, so they're now 5.5 games out. So that's a wild card picture for MLB. The Detroit Tigers, they hire the Chicago Blackhawks of the NHL assistant GM Jeff Greenberg to be their new general manager. The Tigers president, he worked with him when both of them were with the Cubs. He's worked in baseball before, but very interesting hire. Very out of the box in a completely different league. So that's who the Tigers go for their new general manager. So, actually, no. Is it the new GM? Did they fire? No, not the new GM, but I guess they brought him in as an assistant. So, interesting move there. So, with David Stearns being hired by the Mets a week or two ago to be their new president of baseball operations, he'll take over once the season ends. The Brewers manager, Craig Counsell, who's been there for a little while now, he's done a great job there, really good manager. His contract is up after the season. There's been a lot of people thought that he was going to step away and maybe take the year off or retire for now. But now we're hearing he's most likely to manage somewhere else, and the Mets could be an option. I'm hearing it's about 50-50 at best. As some Mets analysts say, if Buck Showalter comes back, I heard he might step down. Maybe he is in his late 60s. He's been he's been in baseball since 1992, was his first managerial job with the New York Yankees. With Buck, I mean, if you asked me at the All-Star, I would have said definitely get rid of him. In fact, I was calling for him to be fired mid-season or around June, but maybe they could pull a Phillies. You fire an experienced, well-known manager. The Phillies did in Joe Girardi last year. You promote one of your assistant coaches, and look what happened. The Phillies turned it around, went to the World Series. Maybe the Mets can do something similar. A team that on paper should be really good and be in the playoffs was floundering. Maybe if you fire, a guy in Buck Showalter who's been around a long time, has had a really good career, and, was manager of the year only the season prior, but has not done a good job this year. You let him go and you promote, maybe their bench coach, and maybe that'll be the kick in the pants they need to turn the season around, probably get into the playoffs. But as the season's gone on, you know what? He was manager of the year just last year. He was manager of the year. Everyone, all Mets fans, including myself, praised the heck out of him. Is there another manager who's going to be a clear upgrade over him? I don't know. You got to think about that as well. You have Francisco Lindor came out and recently said that, he shouldn't even be a question. He should definitely come back. So it seems like it doesn't seem like he's lost the locker room, lost the clubhouse by any means. Maybe you run it back with him. So I've kind of been rethinking my stance, but also I just think these early old managers, these guys in their 60s and 70s, they're just so out of the way because of how much baseball has changed. The only guy who I really am okay with is Dusty Baker, who of course won the World Series last year. It looks like he'll get into the playoffs this year. Could win his division, in fact. And I personally would not be surprised if he's back in the World Series with the Astros this year. Outside of him, all the old managers. Outside of Buck Showalter, who's coaching what's going to be a 90-loss team and a major disappointment in the Mets, might not be, his managing career might be over after the season. There's really no really old man left. And, all right, besides Bruce Bochy, but he obviously came out of retirement to manage the Texas Rangers, and they're probably going to win their division. But we will see what happens. Max Fried on the IL, the Braves starting pitcher with a blister issue. He's missed a lot of time throughout the year, but he's been healthy for a little while. So hopefully they get him back for their sake. Sean Doolittle announced his retirement after 11 seasons. He was a reliever for a while. He was with the A's for a bit. He was mostly known for his time with the Washington Nationals. He was on the World Series team in 2019. He had a couple qualifications with the Reds, but he's officially retired. Ronald Acuna had the first ever 40-60 season in MLB history, and he's 2 stolen bases away from a 40-70 season. Incredible year for him. He should be the MVP of the National League. And Yankees manager Aaron Boone said the front office has not told him whether or not he's coming back next year. I don't know how you run it back with Aaron Boone. He took the job in 2018. The Yankees were coming off a 91-win season when we're 1 win away from an American League Championship, coming out of the wild card. Had a really good young team. They decided to not renew Joe Girardi's contract, which I still don't know why they did that. They bring in Aaron Boone, and obviously a former player. He hit the. By the way, shout out to Ethan, who's in this giant window. He just took a picture of me. Shout out to Ethan, who's I think you guys have seen him on my show once or twice. We did a couple podcasts together. So shout out to him. Boone, I don't know how you bring him back. Like I say, he took over in 2018. They were in the ALCS. They were in Game 7 of the ALCS, and they haven't gotten to Game 7 of the ALCS. He was handed a World Series caliber roster, a World Series winning roster. Put you this way. They were in Game 7 of the ALCS in 2017. Then they brought in Giancarlo Stanton, who was coming off a 59-homer MVP season with the Miami Marlins. And they've gotten worse. Every year in the first half, the Yankees win a crap ton of games. They're one of the best teams in the league. They praised the heck out of Boone in the second half of the season. The bullpen falls apart. They battle injuries, and they flounder. They do, but and then they end up losing in the ALCS. People wonder why. I've said it before. He kills his bullpen in the first half of the season. He pulls starters. Oops, not even move the table. Super early, and then in the first half, by the All-Star break, they're cooked. That's why they all struggle and they get overworked and they get hurt every year. He's not a good manager. He's not. He has a great team. If you gave him, who's a really mediocre team? Like if you gave him the Cleveland Guardians, like they would have 100 losses if you ask me. Like he's not that good of a manager, and Brian Cashman needs to go as well. I don't know. Like I do think they're gonna move on from Aaron Boone, but I don't know if they're gonna fire Brian Cashman. I don't know. He's been there so long. Hal Steinbrenner loves him, but they both should go. Moving on to hockey, we got Brad Marchand, which is just named the captain of the Boston Bruins. So Patrice Bergeron retired, so Marchand's the new captain. Senators have officially been sold. Michael Andlauer has officially purchased the team for $950 million. So hopefully he can change the trajectory of that awful franchise. As for the NBA, so the Indiana Pacers extension talks about Buddy Hield stalled, so now they are looking to trade him. So we'll see if he ends up getting moved. He's a good player. He's a very, very good shooter. The Cavaliers are not expected to extend Donovan Mitchell, their star player. Also, of course, he was an All-NBA guy last year. He's only signed, I think, through next year. So that'll be interesting what happens next summer. Serge Ibaka is going to be playing in Germany. Of course, a long-time NBA player. With Thunder for a while. Spent time with the Raptors. Was in Milwaukee briefly. I think he might have been on the Bucks title team or the Raptors title team. So I believe he has a championship. He's going over and playing in Germany now. And we got a new development in the Damian Lillard saga. So apparently the Toronto Raptors are considered the favorite. So a lot of teams think that he's going to be traded with him next week, which is what the Blazers want. Apparently the Raptors are the favorites. I have a feeling that honestly I could see him going there. It's hard to find a reason as to why the Heat won't get him. It's been Miami or bust this whole time. That's what Dame wants to go. He said he's not going to report to another team if gets traded. Then the NBA said can't do that. That will be a severe discipline to himself as well as his agent. So, but at this point, Miami important. They were talking for a while, and they basically just stopped talking for a while. Then they just recently picked up talks. They haven't, from what I've heard, they haven't made a ton of progress. The the Blazers don't want Tyler here because they have so many young guards. They just drafted Scoot. They have Shane Shelton, they got Anthony Simons. So now you gotta get at least third, if not a fourth team involved, which of course is tricky. And with the Raptors, I heard Scotty Barnes is off the table, but Grady Dick, I heard, needs to be in the trade. So I just think at this point they might be too far gone with the Heat. I think the Raptors might get him. It's weird because if they want to compete for a championship based off the teams that are out there, I really think Miami's the best option. If you go to Toronto, I don't know who Toronto would keep, but if they keep Siakam, if you have Dame, Siakam, and Scotty Barnes, that's a nice little trio. What else they have? Or Dennis Schroeder. If Gary Trent's still there, that's a fantastic team. Even if the Heat deplete their depth, they're already a little thin. They lose Gabe Vincent to the Lakers. They lose Max Strus to the Cavaliers. But if they move, let's say maybe if Hero gets moved, whether or not he goes to Portland or somewhere else, if he goes to maybe you move Lowry or Duncan to make the money work, and maybe somebody else, whether it's the rookie, Jimmy Hawkins, who's stuck in the first round, or somebody else, and then the picks. A big three of Damian Lillard, Jimmy Butler, and Bam Adebayo is scary. So, if they did this at the beginning of the offseason, they had time to just bring in a bunch of veteran minimum guys and draft a couple of guys, and I would say, you know what? Okay, They could possibly have a really loaded team, but now it's so late in the offseason. Training camp is in a week. I don't know, if they just have those three guys, and then if their bench if there's really nobody on their bench, especially considering Dame's injury history the last couple of years, I don't know. And Def kind of killed them in the finals because Denver was just clearly just deeper than the Miami. They're a better team, of course, but they were just deeper than Miami. So we'll see what happens with that. Let's talk some college football. These are the scores from week 3. We got top ranked Georgia beats UAB 49-21. Number 2 Michigan beats Rutgers 31-7 as they got Jim Harbaugh back from his suspension. Number 3 Texas beats Baylor 38-6. Number 4 Florida State beats Clemson 31-24 in overtime. So a really close game. Clemson had a field goal to take the lead late on the last 2 minutes of regulation. They missed it, and Florida State wins in overtime. Jordan Travis was for 289 and 2 touchdowns. Number 5 USC beats Arizona State 42-28. Caleb Williams goes for 322 and 3 touchdowns. Number 6 Ohio State beats number 9 Notre Dame 17-14 on a game touchdown at the end. Notre Dame 10 guys in the field back-to-back plays. That's just embarrassing. Number 7 Penn State shuts out number 24 Iowa 31-0. Their Iowa's offense still sucks because they got Kirk Francis' son. Something in his contract, they need to average like 21 points a game or something, or 23 or some points a game. He's not doing that right now, so he might get fired. Their offensive coordinator. Number 8 Washington beats Cal 59-32. Number 10 Oregon destroys number 19 Colorado 42-6. So first loss for Colorado. Number 11 Utah beats number 22 UCLA 14-7. Utah's team, they're always solid every year. They're never good enough to be like top 4, but they're always like really solid top 15 at least every year. I think last year them might have been in the top 10. So Utah picks up a win. Number 12 LSU escapes with a win over Arkansas 34-31. Number 13 Alabama beats number 10 Ole Miss 24-10. You got number 21 Washington State upsets number 14 Oregon State 38-35. Number 16 Oklahoma beats Cincinnati 20-6. Number 17 North Carolina beats Pitt 41-24. Number 18 Duke over UConn 41-7. Not surprised that game was not even relatively close. Number 20 Miami beats Temple 41-7. Number 23 Tennessee beats UTSA 45-14. Number 25 Florida beats Charlotte 22-7. I'm not gonna go too deep into some of the big game because I'm doing on Jake and Justin morning with Justin, so you'll see that Saturday morning. But these are the AP rankings heading in to week 5. Georgia, Michigan, Tech are still the top 3. Number 4 is now Ohio State. Florida State dips 1 to number 5. Penn State's number 6. Washington is 7th. USC is 8th. So they drop a little bit. Oregon is 9th. Utah is 10th. Notre Dame drops to 11th. Alabama is 12th. LSU is 13th. Oklahoma is 14th. UNC is 15th. Washington State is now 16th. Duke is 17th. Miami is 18th. Oregon State down to 19th. Ole Miss falls to 20th. Tennessee at 21st. Florida at 22nd. Missouri is 23rd. Kansas is 24th. And Fresno State is now 25th. So Clemson is, of course, remains unranked, and Colorado also falls out of the rankings. All right, let's talk some NFL before we get to the games. Prior to week 3 games, there was a trade. Cam Akers goes to the Vikings for a late round swap in 2026. Rand basically said, "You're not good to get traded." His rookie year, he was very good. Showed a lot of promise, but ever since the torn Achilles, really hasn't been the same. Had fumbling issues. The Rams seem like they're always trying to trade him and try to bench him. So he's gone. Vikings for now probably are sticking with Alexander Madison. Not sure about Cam Akers' role, so we'll see what happens. Prior to week 3 game, Justin Fields blamed the coaching. He backtracked. He's looking like a dumpster fire. And they cut Nathan Peterman. So now Tyson Bagent, the undrafted D2 quarterback, is the only other quarterback on their roster. So Bears defensive corner Alan Williams stepped down. Originally, we thought it was a health reason prior to week 3. But now they're saying there was inappropriate conduct. They haven't gone into detail what that is. We'll see if anything else comes out about that. You got, so I don't know. they fired him, and then they gave up 41 to the Chiefs, but still, you fire the coordinator and you give up 41, so didn't really help so far. Derek Stingley is out 6 to 8 weeks. The Texans' young corner for hamstrings, so that's a tough break. The 49ers extend their GM, general manager, and head coach Kyle Shanahan to a multi-year deal. Both of them are in their 7th seasons with the team. Trevon Diggs out for the year. That happened right before the game. A day or two before the game in week 3. Happened a few days ago. 20 yards, a big loss for him. He's one of the best corners in the league. It happened in practice, too. A couple of guys that were placed on IR. Jamal Williams, the Saints back, as well as Dewan Brown, the Jets left tackle. He's looked awful. Evan Hull's out for the year for torn meniscus. The Colts young back. They haven't used him much anyway. Bengals brought back A.J. McCarron, who they originally drafted, and they had him for a few years. He flashed a little bit, earned him an opportunity to compete for a starting job. Forget where. Then he didn't. I think in Buffalo, maybe when Josh Allen was a rookie or something. And then he didn't win the job, and then he got traded. But the Bengals with Joe Burrow battling injuries, they brought him in. But Burrow played in week 3, and he got to the game. We'll get to that very soon. So the Jets apparently, of course, with their veteran quarterback coach, because they're stuck with Zach Wilson for now. They reached out to Chet Henne, longtime Chiefs backup, was with the Jaguars for a while as well. Henne, who recently retired, he declined. Carson Wentz reached out. Jets said no, but they should call him back. Carson Wentz is not good, but better than Zach Wilson for sure. Apparently, Matt Ryan reached out. Matt Ryan said, "Didn't happen. I'm retired. I'm happy being an announcer." He's actually a pretty good announcer. I'm not gonna lie. I've liked what I've seen from him. Mike Williams is out for the season for the Chargers when their second best receiver. That's the tough loss for them. Derek Carr has an AC joint in his shoulder. He's week to week, so he avoided a major injury. Dennis Allen said he could play this week, but probably not. And Jamal Adams, the Seahawks star safety who missed most of last year, he's coming back week 4. And the Jets just signed Trevor Siemian to the practice squad. He was their backup in... It may have been 2019 or something like that, or 2020. I think it was Darnold's might have been Darnold's last year there. Siemian was the backup. He played 2 games last year for the Bears. He's on their practice squad. That's not enough for the Jets. I have a rant prepared with Justin Saturday morning, so I'll say that for them, but Zach Wilson's not good. All right, let's get to the scores from week 3 for the NFL. From Sunday, and then last night, Browns beat the Titans 27-3. Deshaun Watson for 289 and 2 touchdowns. Looked a little better, but still not great. Jerome Ford had a couple touchdowns, so he looked good. Titans are looking very mediocre. Mark Cooper 116 and a touchdown. Lions beat the Falcons 20-6. Jahmyr Gibbs 17 carries, 80 yards. So Lions Cooper 2-1. Packers beat the Saints 18-17. They were down 14-0 at the half. Looked hapless, but they came back to win in the second half. Got a game-winning field goal. Jordan Love 3 for 259, a touchdown. The Packers also ran for 39 yards and a touchdown. The Dolphins beat the Broncos 70-20. They scored 70 points in the football game. My God, the Broncos are very bad, and the Dolphins look phenomenal. Chargers over the Vikings 28-24. Herbert throws for 405 and 3 touchdowns. Madison runs for 93 yards. He now had 18 catches for 215 yards. Wow. The Vikings are one of the best 0-3 teams I've ever seen. Kirk Cousins is playing great right now. Justin Jefferson is the best receiver in football. Danielle Hunter leads the league in sacks. And their defense, the problem is their defense is so bad. It's awful. Patriots beat the Jets 15-10. Jets' offense is just pitifully bad. Bills beat the Commanders 37-3 in a drubbing. Sam Howell throws 4 interceptions. Texans beat the Jaguars 37-17. DeMeco Ryans, his first win as a head coach. Texans have looked a little promising. Stroud has played well. Tank Dell has looked phenomenal. They get the first win. Jaguars offense, back-to-back weeks, they've put up stinkers. They scored only 9 against the Chiefs and only 17 against the Texans. Something's up there. Colts beat the Ravens 22-19 in overtime. Gardner Minshew, outside of pulling a Darren Orlovsky / Jimmy Garoppolo, played decently. Zach Moss had 30 carries in the game for 122 yards. So Colts win in overtime with their backup quarterback over the Ravens. The Colts are 2-1. They've looked promising. Seahawks beat the Panthers 37-27. Amy Dalton threw for 361 and 2 touchdowns. He threw the ball like 60 times in that game. 3 touchdowns for Kenneth Walker. Chiefs over the Bears 41-10. My lord, it was a drubbing. Taylor Swift was very excited. It appears she's dating Travis Kelce. I'm sure the Swifties are all Chiefs fans now. I don't know how they work. They're kind of annoying, to be honest. I don't know if they're going to come after me for saying that, but I don't really care. My God, the Bears look bad. Just Justin Fields looks bad. That team is just atrociously bad. They're the worst team in the league, if you ask me. Cardinals over the Cowboys 20-16, a big upset. Dak had a really bad reception in that game. Steelers beat the Raiders 23-18. Jimmy G 324, 2 scores, but 3 picks. He's now in the concussion protocol. But Steelers hang on to a Raiders late comeback attempt. What was Josh McDaniels doing kicking a field goal down by 8? I don't understand. On Monday night, Eagles over the Bucks 25-11. Hurts for 277, a touchdown, 2 picks. He hasn't looked great throwing the ball, to be honest, Hurts so far. DeAndre Swift, 16 carries for 130 yards. And then Bengals beat the Rams 19-16, was not pretty. Stafford threw for 269, but a touchdown, 2 picks. Burrow didn't look great, but he got through the game healthy, and the Bengals won. I don't know why they had Burrow throw the ball almost 50 times when he was playing hurt and didn't run the ball a lot. I don't understand why they did that. But they pick up the win, the first one in the year. They get to 1-2. All right, I want to talk about the Ryder Cup. It starts this Friday through Sunday. I am so excited. Ryder Cup is the best golf event of the year, in my opinion. So I'm gonna remind everybody of the teams. The Team Europe, you have the team captain for Team Europe is Luke Donald. The vice captain are Thomas Bjorn, Nicholas Colasertes, I think his name is, Jose Maria Olazabal, Eduardo Molinari, and Francesco Molinari. Here are the players. You got Rory McIlroy, of course, John Rahm, Robert McIntyre, who's a young guy, Victor Hovland, Tyrrell Hatton, Matt Fitzpatrick, Tommy Fleetwood, Sepp Straka, Justin Rose, still kicking, Shane Lowry, and a couple of young guys, Nicole Hogard and Ludwig Aberg. So that is the European team, the work in the European team, and then for the United States team, the captain is Zach Johnson. His vice captains are Steve Stricker, Davis Lipp III, Jim Furyk, Fred Couples, and Stuart Sink. The players are Sam Burns, you got Patrick Cantley, Wyndham Clark, Ricky Fowler, Brian Harmon, Max Homa, Brooks Koepka, Colin Morikawa, Alexander Schauffele, Scotty Scheffler, Jordan Spieth, and Justin Thomas. But people saying that Justin Thomas should be on the team, yes, he hasn't had a great year, but he's still one of the best players in the world. So I think Friday is when everyone plays their ball. All 4 golfers hit, and then the combined lowest score between each golfer on each team, you take that, and whoever has the lowest score in the hole wins. If they tie, the hole is halved. Then Saturday, I think it's alternate shot. And, of course, Sunday is the extremely exciting and intense singles matches, which is what we all are waiting for. All right, before I close out, we got a lot of wrestling news. So, first of all, SmackDown is going to be returning to USA Network starting in October of 2024. So, in about a year's time, it's a 5-year deal. So, a lot of guys were let go by WWE because you got the new merger with WWE and Endeavor complete. A bunch of guys were let go. First, some minor names. Emma was let go. Aaliyah was let go. Rick Boogs was let go. Rick Boogs had a lot to say about that on social media, saying it was some sort of backstage conflict. Basically, he said once Vince stepped away a few years ago, they basically forgot about him. Is what it is. Top Dollar is gone, which I'm ecstatic about. He was one of the worst wrestlers I've ever seen. Hit Rows. That project did not work out. Dana Brooke was let go. Shanky was let go. Mace was let go. Mansoor was let go. Dana Brooke I was never a huge fan of. Mason Mansour aren't that good. Madcap Moss was let go. He showed a little promise a couple of years ago, but nothing much. They let go of Elias. I mean, Vince buried him. You can't really blame anybody for that. Shelton Benjamin was let go. He's been with the company forever, but he's at the end of his career. Dolph Ziggler was let go. That was a lot of guys, on social media, started out Dolph Ziggler saying he was a great worker. He was always a workhorse. He had a very good, nice career, so he was let go. Matt Riddle was let go. Okay, so look, part of me is upset about him. He's an incredible talent, and he is a good wrestler, but he's also an absolute knucklehead. He was not liked in the locker room. The locker room had enough of his antics, of all the issues he's had, out of the ring. Obviously, Seth Rollins doesn't like him. He told that he had that whole interview, and remember when those two went at each other, on live television. He's one of the biggest. He might go down as one of the biggest what ifs in the history of the company. So talented, but like Seth Rollins said, basically said in that interview, incredible talent, but it's his head. Guy's a knucklehead, and he ruined his career. That's about a lot of these guys. I would have liked to. Dolph Ziggler was never a huge fan of, but he did have a nice career. Mustafa Ali's also have WWE. I never liked Mustafa Ali at all. I never thought he was that good of a wrestler. Great athlete, but I never thought was a great wrestler. Not that good on the mic. Of course, he was the leader of Retribution, which might be the biggest failure in the history of the company. My God, that team did not work out. That was the height of Vince's just awfulness. Aaliyah, Emma, Mace Mansour, Shanky, all these guys are scrubs, basically. Shelton Benjamin's washed. Top Dollar was awful. Rick Boogs was literally Elias on cocaine. Before he cut his hair, had the same haircut, basically. Both had, the headband. Both, had a really nice physique. Both were good athletes. Both, screamed a lot at the crowd. They both played the guitar before their matches. Both started out, as a guy who just would play the guitar. Then they got some matches. Rick Boogs, I thought he flashed here and there. Didn't see anything special. Even Elias, I thought, was pretty good. He flashed some brilliance, but I never thought was anything super special. Like I said, Vince dared Elias 3 years ago. You would have. Triple H would have had to get a whole team out there to get some shovels and dig them back up. And a bunch of NXT guys got let go. Quincy Elliott, Dabocado, Uso Leon, Bryson Montana. Apparently, there was 100 employees let go. This is a lot different than Vince just decided to just cut everybody for no reason. This was. When companies merge, this is what happens. This is just part of business. That's just the way. Because the only ones I'm even somewhat upset about are Dolph Ziggler, who Vince buried several years ago, and Matt Riddle. But Matt Riddle, just no one liked him in the locker room. He ruined his career on his own. Kind of Elias, but again, Vince buried him. Even Rick Boogs, I'm not that upset about. He was funny, but never really anything special. Even Madcap Moss I'm not really upset about. And Jade Cargill has officially signed with WWE. Of course, he was one of the top women wrestlers in AEW, an absolute star in the making. She has left AEW. She's probably the second big-time AEW star to jump to WWE along. Of course, Cody Rhodes did that a couple of years ago. She has signed WWE. He reported to the Performance Center today. To me, this has Jade versus Bianca at WrestleMania written all over it. I hope we get that. I can't wait to see her in action. Alright, that's all I got for you guys today. Until next time, so long, and have a great day.